Hi, it's Steph, and today's video is all about foxglove. In recent videos, I had some footage of some foxgloves that I've grown in the past that were absolutely beautiful, and this prompted some questions around the subject of growing foxglove. And while I'm not an expert, I've had some really good luck growing them. So today I'm going to share with you my experience of growing foxglove. Foxgloves. Such a beautiful, stately, tall spike plant with these little bell-shaped blooms that pollinators just love to go in and out of. Whether you have a cottage garden or a formal garden, these beautiful plants fit any aesthetic. They're gorgeous for the back of a border because they are so tall, and they really are just so impactful. I grew foxgloves for the first time around 2020 in my vegetable garden over in my pollinator bed. And because my pollinator bed is in the vegetable garden are set so far back and these plants were so tall, you could see them from afar and they were just stunning. So from that point forward, I was determined to grow foxgloves forevermore. So in 2021, I had ordered these beautiful foxgloves called Apricot Beauty from Swallowtail Seeds. And I grew these and they finally bloomed for me in 2022. It took 2 years to grow from seed. So we'll go over some different foxglove varieties and what their bloom cycles are. But I grew these and I was obsessed. They were absolutely stunning. I actually made a video recently called Foxglove Fever from the summer of 2022 when I did a cottage garden tour. And I have to tell you, the combination just screamed beautiful cottage garden to me. At the same time that I had these foxgloves blooming, I had my knockout roses in bloom, the peonies, as well as the nepeta and the salvia, and it just made for a really stunning combination. So today I'm actually going to start some more Apricot Beauty foxgloves from the seed that I collected from the plants that I grew. I took some footage back in 2022 to document the process of collecting my foxglove seeds, sowing those seeds, and the seedlings that grew. And here it is. Hi, it's Steph, and today is July 31st of 2022, and I am going to come over here and collect the seed pods from my foxglove that I grew this year. Back on June 5th, I had made a garden tour, a cottage garden tour, where my foxgloves looked absolutely beautiful. And so it's been about 6 weeks since, maybe a little longer now, and all of my seed pods have now dried. And now I'm ready to collect them so I can start the process of growing new foxgloves for These foxgloves look absolutely terrible, but if you want to collect some seed, you have to let them get dried out to this point. Now you have two options here. You could either cut them like I'm going to do, collect your seeds, and grow the seeds in potting soil so that you have more control over your plants, or you can kind of just take these and sort of scatter them in the soil or let them drop and do their own thing. I prefer to have control over the plants and know where I plant them out. That is the reason I'm going to go the route of collecting the seeds and starting my own seedlings. I'm just cutting off the tops and throwing them in my bag so that the seeds can mostly drop in there, and whatever ones don't fall, I can show you how to open up the seed pods and collect them. Here's all my seed pods that I collected, and a bunch of the seeds have already dropped in the bag. They're a little more open than I wanted them to be, but it's okay. It just means it'll be easier to collect seeds. It's been about a week since I cut off the bloom stalks on my foxgloves that had already begun to dry, and they have finished drying out in this paper bag. So it's hard to see because they're kind of dark. They're brown. The paper bag is brown. But this is all my dried up foxglove bloom stalks. And now that I have them in this bag, I am just going to gently shake the bag so that all of the seeds will settle to the bottom and I can collect them. Foxglove seeds are toxic, so you don't want to ingest them. So if you have a bag that you can kind of fold over to close up so that they don't fly everywhere, it keeps the job a lot neater. So I made this little white tray out of just some used cardboard, and white is great to use because these seeds are so tiny, it really helps you be able to see what you're doing. And watch this. It is amazing how many seeds you can collect from a few of these bloom stalks that are now dried up. So I'm just tipping over my bag. And here they come. You want to just kind of make it a small enough hole where you're not getting all of the extra dried up debris. Look at that, just a few shakes, and look how many we've already collected. Here are all my seeds, and because I bent the corner of this cardboard, it makes it really easy to put it into the container that I'm going to be storing these in. Next step, we're going to sow these in some potting soil so that they can start to germinate. Here are my Apricot Beauty Foxglove seeds that I collected about a week ago. Today is August 15th, and I'm going to fill my containers up with some soil, and I'm going to moisten the soil before I get ready to sow some of these seeds. If your hose has a mist setting, you want to use your mist so that you don't blow this soil right out of these containers, and just give these a nice good soak. You can even fill the tray up and just let these sit for a while so that they'll soak up the water from the tray and get the soil nice and moist throughout. Because if you water after you put your seeds in, these are so tiny that you'll wash them away. So water the soil nice and good right before you sow your seeds. Now that I've moistened all of my soil, I'm going to take some of my seeds and I'm going to scatter them on top of each container. Because these seeds are really small, they need light to germinate. So you don't want to press them too deep into the soil. You're just going to sprinkle them on top. And then you'll press them in with your fingertips. That's it. And then you just press them in. Your soil is now moistened, so you don't have to water them. You just want to water every few days once the soil starts to get, less wet, once it's drying out a little bit. You would just go ahead and use your mist setting on your hose to keep the top of the soil moist while your seeds germinate. So foxgloves take about 14 to 21 days to germinate, so we'll check back in a couple of weeks to see what we've got. Don't forget to label your seeds with what you sowed and the date. It is now August 25th, and we have some germination on our foxgloves. We sowed these on 8/15, so it's been about 10 days, and we have some sprouts. We'll check back in another week or two to see how they're doing. It's been a couple more weeks, and it is now October 1st. We first started these seedlings on August 15th, and the seedlings grew kind of thick. Because these are such tiny seeds, you're going to get a ton of seedlings. And what you want to do now is you want to carefully kind of tease them apart so that you still get a little bit of dirt with your roots. And you want to look for the seedlings that look short and stocky like this one. These are going to be a nice, healthy seedling. You want to try to stay away from the ones that look bigger, but they're really kind of leggy. Because these, once you plant them, they'll never really be strong enough to kind of support their weight, and they'll always want to kind of topple over. At least that's been my experience. So when I'm separating these out and deciding which ones I want to plant, I'm always going to look for the shorter, stockier seedling over these tall, skinny, leggy ones. So I'm going to go ahead and plant some of these out in my flower bed. And I'm going to also plant some up in these containers individually so that they can grow on a little bit more in case the ones in the flower bed don't make it. As you can see, foxgloves are prolific seeders, and it's really easy to collect seed and to start new plants. When it comes to growing foxgloves, there's a couple of things you should know. Foxgloves are very toxic. They are considered a toxic plant. They have high toxicity. So you want to make sure that if you have children or pets, just be cautious if you decide to grow foxgloves in your garden. That is something you should know. I've had people comment in my video that they had purchased a beautiful foxglove at the garden center, but then it didn't return for them the following year. The reason for that is because most varieties of foxgloves are considered a biennial. And what that means is a biennial plant, you will start from seed. It will do all of its root development and basal leaf growth in its first year, and then it will bloom in its second year. So when you buy a foxglove plant at a nursery or a garden center, you're buying a second year plant so that it will be beautiful and bloom for you in your garden that season. But then it won't return, because after the 2 years, the life cycle of that biennial plant is done. There are some foxglove varieties that will bloom for you on the first year and are even considered perennial. One example of that would be the Dalmatian peach foxglove, which I'm actually growing this year, and I currently have them under grow lights. So if you start them under grow lights, they'll bloom for you at some point in early summer, given that they're started early enough. So I started mine in February. I'm hoping that they'll bloom for me at some point by the end of June, beginning of July. Now, that variety is considered perennial. We will see whether or not it returns in my garden next year. There's also a variety called Camelot that is also supposed to be a first-year bloomer if the seeds are started early enough. But for the most part, they are biennials. Foxgloves are biennials, and what that means is they're a 2-year plant. I currently have some foxglove plants outside that should bloom for me this year from the seeds that drop from these plants. So that is something that you should be aware of. Foxgloves are prolific self-seeders. Once the plant starts drying, it will start dropping all of those millions of tiny little seeds, and they will grow plants everywhere. I actually gave away a bunch of starts last season to several gardening friends because they yielded so many. So not only did I collect seeds, I also had a bunch that just self-seeded. So once you grow foxglove in your garden, it's said that you will always have foxgloves. There'll always be a new grouping of plants getting ready to go for the following season, and then the cycle continues. Because foxgloves are such prolific self-seeders, you might be concerned about whether or not they will become invasive in your garden. I will tell you that even though they self-seeded everywhere, they were really easy to pull out. The other thing that is really easy is to move them. In the spring, once the temperatures are still nice and cool and you're getting lots of rain, is the perfect time to go in and lift those foxglove seedlings and put them where you prefer them. So really easy to transplant them and to move them around in the garden. So I am going to start some of these with the winter sowing method in this recycled salad container. All right, let's get this prepped. I made a bad judgment call today by wearing white when I'm going to work with dirt, but good thing for an apron. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my winter sowing container. If you're not familiar with winter sowing, it's the process of creating a mini greenhouse out of a recycled container. I do have a 5-minute quick start guide on winter sowing that I will link in the description as well as in the pinned comment. So if you want to learn more about winter sowing, you can check it out there. But I'm going to go ahead and prep my container, and step 1 is to make drain holes. So I'm just using a box cutter, and I already put some slits in the bottom for drainage. Drainage is really important. And then I'm going to poke some holes on top so that water from rain can get in here and water my seedlings. Now this will also form condensation, which will keep my soil moist, so I'm not too concerned about it. It'll get enough moisture in here. I'm also going to pre-moisten the soil. All right, so once you have your container with all of the drain holes and the holes on top to get your watering. Now it depends what type of container you're using. I'm using this, but you could use milk jugs or anything really, as long as it's clear and will let sunlight in. All right, let's get the dirt in there. Now I'm going to pre-moisten some soil. I recently got this scoop, and I love how much dirt I can move without dropping half of it, which I'm always guilty of. I'm constantly dropping dirt everywhere. I'm a very, very messy gardener. All right. So you don't want your soil to become mud. You just want it to hold on to some moisture. Once you see that it starts forming clumps, it's good. You want about 3 to 4 inches of soil in your container. And you want to pat it down before you go ahead and sprinkle your seeds. Now, foxglove seeds are super tiny, so you're just going to surface sow them. In general, the larger the seed is, the deeper you need to plant it into the soil. All right, so now that I have my container prepped and ready to go, I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle my seeds. So not only can you grow foxgloves by using the winter sowing method and by growing them in some plant cells or pots of soil, you can also just direct seed your seeds right outside on top of the soil. But because the seeds are so small, when you sprinkle them, you'll have less control over them. So you might end up with clumps of seedlings, but they're easy enough to lift, divide, and place them where you want them. So that is a third way that you can start foxgloves, by direct sowing them out in the soil. All right, so here is what the seeds look like. They are tiny. See that? They're like fine as dust or like black pepper. So you're just going to take them and you're going to lightly sprinkle them on the soil. And that's it. That's all there is to it. You can see here that these were collected on 8/8/22. The Apricot Beauty. Once you have your seeds in, you can give it one last watering. And this is a nice gentle rain head here. You want to make sure you don't have anything with too much force so that you don't move your seeds around. And because this will just snap closed, I don't need to tape it, but if you were using something like a water jug, you would go ahead and just insert some tape around it. You do want to label it though. So I'm going to go ahead and make a label. Because while we think we will remember what we're growing, I don't know about you, but 9 out of 10, I will forget the minute I put the container outside. And the date. And now this is ready to be set outside and get growing. This is where I've been keeping all of my winter sowing containers here in my vegetable garden. I don't think we have, oh, we have some growth. I was going to say, I don't think we have any growth yet, but we do. Look at that. I have some poppies, and what is this? I usually direct sow my poppies, but I did grow a couple in containers. Here's alyssum. This is so exciting. Some sweet salad mix, mesclun. What else do we have going on here? Oh my goodness, there is so much growth. Oh my goodness, this is so fun. Lettuce, salad bowl. I hadn't come down here in a month, so I had no idea what was going on. Arugula. And I think that's it, but quite a few. Whew, it is so cold outside. The wind makes it feel that much colder. But here is an update on the Foxglove Dalmatian peach that I've been growing inside under grow lights in these trays since 2/8. So they've been here for about a month and the seedlings are looking really good. They have their second set of leaves. So now they are ready to be bumped up into a larger container. So I'm going to move them from this to a 3.3 size container with some more soil. And I will also begin fertilizing them so that they can continue to grow. Now this little one here looks like it just germinated a couple of weeks ago, so it's a bit behind. So I'll leave that one there and I'll move all the other ones up. But so far, so good. There is just something so rewarding about starting a plant from a tiny little seed, nurturing it throughout its growth cycle, and then seeing those blooms. They just make you feel like such a proud plant parent. Am I alone there, or do you feel that way as well? So if you haven't grown foxgloves before or any plant from seed, I would encourage you to give it a try. I mean, it's all trial and error and we learn by doing. Our gardens really are our teachers. And while I'm not an expert on growing plants from seed or foxgloves, I'm always happy to share what I've learned along the way by growing these in my own garden. So I hope that you found this helpful. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please hit the thumbs up button. Also, have you subscribed yet? It's completely free. When you hit the subscribe button, it lets YouTube know that you enjoy my videos, so that the next time you come to YouTube, it will recommend some of my videos that you haven't seen before. On my channel, I have a variety of videos, from planting to garden tours and even some shopping for plants and all things gardening related. I hope that you'll subscribe and become part of the Hooked and Rooted community. Let's grow together.